broadcast over YouTube live, so just letting you know. All right, good to go. I'll go send the over to all the other reps now. So you want to go maybe another 5 minutes?
How do I pause it?
I'll be back.
Do we edit it? So is that just going to work or?
Just wait till it comes.
Right.
Let's look.
Oh, anyway. Yeah, that's fine. It could be that about half a dozen. That's it. It's coming from there. For that one.
Is that better, or do we need the light?
Yeah. It's a lot coming through the door. I don't know. It depends on how they can see it.
They can just see what we can see here.
So they don't necessarily need to see the screen because it will be. This is what I say. I don't know how I'm going to be able to use anything drawn on stick.
Does that take over? Do they just see what's on the screen then? Or then they won't see me at the same time? So it just should be cool. BISMAG.
Hello.
Wiggled our way up through down there,
Top one.
and then came out on the stupid highway. South through coming up down about 100 km.
You going?
Alice Springs.
No?
Just short of Alice Square, Brothers.
Is it on now?
B station. That's where he was leaving his youth. He stayed there.
You can see now. I had a folder open to see what happened when I opened up his.
From that point on,
Well, it's just what link? It's just what on the address bar. It's just youtube.com/webcam.
That's good, thank you.
So can you just tell me? All right, just hang on. So if I do that, so if I bring up that, what can you see? So you can see the. Okay, so you can see the files that are on the screen now. Okay, cool. All right, no worries, thanks. So yeah, you can see that. So you can see what's coming through here.
Yeah, so but what if
Yeah, just the effect.
yeah, but if it's a video, this is coming to see it.
He's got his phone connected, so he'll be able to see.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And I
So
said,
you
we
got
got
one,
one,
so you got-
just right back at the point. So, but we actually can't even remember. We just decided. Pretty good. Always have the back of your mind, you know, we're going to break.
All the guys are,
Not a scary I came off once. I think it's outside on the back of the spring. It was like a couple of car track on tracks. I don't know what, I guess it was wasn't going. And, it was some fairly, there was some dry, rutted track where it had obviously rained a few weeks before and it's full of dry tracks and rain and dry and hard. And I was sort of right at the moment because you just looking around and I looked at it and here I am coming in these pretty deep ruts like this and at an angle as well. And this because it all happens on board. And sure enough, I came down. Because of in fact, big short.
So can you bring up any more things
So we can see what I think.
what we can see?
Anyway,
He's playing a YouTube video. It doesn't affect.
but what?
You'll monitor nothing, you're watching phones, but if it's up on there, they will see it. So if you play a video on here, just make it full screen.
What's the sound? There was only one standing around, something like that. So it's unique. But yeah, and that's it.
You always have that. People then cut off and create another send it another
Especially mechanical.
Just like all that.
Come off. Different in car where you come off, and then you sort of can't see that's really change your plans.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, we think I'm not fine, but still, we would think it'll be 10 or 100. I think it's dead.
Supposed to go this morning.
That's on the other screen.
Lights up.
Yeah, thanks,
And Monday was a something. He said, well, the end of it was trash. Yeah. So that the leader says just leave that home. And I thought, yeah, we had done or something and done something really well. But that's.
That's all right, Jim.
And they don't seriously for us, and what I said, one time, I drove back.
Yeah, look, it's, yeah, good whole adventure. Yeah, you wasn't worried about it. But yeah, I was at a place called an emu once, but you see a lot of emus, roos,
Yeah, camels.
dingoes as well.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, oh, we didn't see any camels. So, any camel. I even clipped the tail end of a snake once as well.
It's best because it's going to get glass, you just have to.
No, I thought, what's that on the
Press
on
on
the
the-
road ahead, you know, it's, well, it's just a bit of.
We were never going to be able to
And it wasn't until I was, you know.
Video on a projector very well with one of these webcams, so these would use. All right, you good to go?
And I swerved to just miss it, but I still pulled its tail.
Yep, pretty good you are.
No worries.
And which was pretty big on that. But it was a
Good.
canny, such a creamy color. You know, I don't know what that was. Pretty cool. That was the actually. Camping. Yeah, my cousin fixed bushes and stuff.
So,
So speak loudly.
sorry?
Said you just have to speak loudly.
Yeah.
Said it once.
Just
Just trying to see.
That's what we do that.
Morning all.
Morning.
So yeah, I'm Robert Adamowicz from Trident Australia, here to present some of the products that we've got advertised in the BISMAG for this edition, and just explain a few things in regards to the AdBlue range, so you guys can communicate better to your customers what the benefits are, and the fact that this is a technology that's not going away. It's going to be fairly well embedded in the transport industry in particular going forward, and a lot of these guys will need products like this to be able to manage it. So in regards to AdBlue, there's a fair bit of information in that page as well for the ad. So just reading through that, you're going to get a fair bit of what I'm going to explain today, but I've got a video that sort of describes it, makes it a bit better to understand, to then relay that information.
What is AdBlue? AdBlue is a clear liquid solution which consists of demineralized water and the raw material automotive urea, 32.5%. What does AdBlue do? AdBlue is injected into the exhaust emissions of a diesel-powered engine to reduce the harmful NO, nitrogen oxide emissions, which cause damage to our environment, into harmless nitrogen and water vapor. The exhaust gases mixed with the AdBlue vapor flow into a SCR catalyst where a chemical reaction takes place. Separate tank. Be aware, never put AdBlue in your diesel tank. There will always be a separate AdBlue tank in your vehicle. By the way, AdBlue has different names in other countries, but it always requires the same spec. US, it's DEF, diesel exhaust fluid. Brazil, Arla 32. The actual name is AUS 32. When do you need AdBlue? Since 2006, AdBlue has become one of the technologies to reach emission legislation for trucks and buses, so it has nearly been on the market for 10 years. So rest assured, it is proven technology. From 2015, AdBlue is more or less mandatory for all new diesel-powered vehicles, such as passenger cars, trucks, tractors, excavators, trains, and even ships. If your car or machine is equipped with SCR technology, you have to use AdBlue. Now all trucks, buses, agricultural machines, and many diesel cars are equipped for using AdBlue. Check your vehicle for an AdBlue filling cap, or check your car manual. As well as running one of the cleanest vehicles on the road today, your vehicle complies with the latest European environmental legislation. GreenChem Efficient Quality Solutions for you, our customers. Check the GreenChem website for more information, www.greenchem-adblue.com. Please also take a look at our other short movies. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, so that just gives you a bit of a description of what the product is and how it can be used as another demonstration, another video on the products involved. So that goes into why you need dedicated equipment for it, and I'll just run that one next.
detergents, diesel, pigments, rubber, sand, or whatever, it could affect the operation or even destroy the SCR catalyst of your vehicle. What happens to filling tools if they come into contact with AdBlue? Many materials cannot cope with AdBlue and start to rust or dissolve in the fluid. AdBlue has, amongst others, the following characteristics. It is very corrosive. Many materials cannot withstand contact with AdBlue. It crawls, so the product needs to be sealed properly. When it dries, it crystallizes and becomes a very hard substance. Okay, but if I use filling equipment which withstands high acids, it should be okay. No, unfortunately not. The combination corrosive and crawling is quite difficult to handle. Products always need to be field tested with AdBlue. How do I know which filling equipment is the correct one? There is an ISO document which describes exactly which materials are recommended and which are not recommended to be used in combination with AdBlue. ISO 22241. Or you can rely on GreenChem to provide you with tested and checked AdBlue filling equipment together with your AdBlue. Equipment such as AdBlue approved electric IBC and drum pumps, manual pumps, canisters with integrated spout.
So that just shows, I mean, they're obviously plugging their own products there, but ours are like equivalent quality. So in regards to the funnels and the syringe and that, so these will protect the vehicle from any of those contaminants getting in. So obviously you need to keep them specifically for that purpose. They can't be used for cross purposes and one thing or another. And some of the terminology in there in regards to crawling. So if it is spilled, it will actually manifest into a blob and just keep getting bigger and bigger. And like I say, it goes hard and it's just going to ruin anything that it comes in contact with. But I'll just show you, pan some of these around so you guys know, feel the quality of the product, the heavy duty nature of it. So there's the two different funnels, one with the angled head, just a straight nozzle, the syringe, and there's also a transfer pump, which can transfer from obviously one container to another in that action as well. So in regards to the AdBlue products, obviously those couple of videos are available. You know, they're basically the first things that come up on the YouTube search under AdBlue, so you can watch them at any time just to review, and hopefully that will help explaining that type of thing to an end user. I'm not sure how much of the transport industry contact with.
Yeah,
Often. Yeah.
We've got forward this morning.
All right. And has it come up as a topic at all?
Not really, but I don't think I was targeting that product.
Never heard of it.
No.
Never heard of it. Right.
No.
Right.
Well, I
So
said diesel car, but I've never.
it's one of those things. Now, probably after today, you'll notice it more. You'll see the extra, even when you pull up the lights, you'll see the extra nozzle on cars and trucks with that blue cap and that, and it'll stand out. Some petrol stations run it as a separate hose, like a separate add-in, but they're charging premium for doing it that way. Transport industry, those guys that run their own.
So just stand in the frame, so guys, just because all our reps can't see who's talking, you just
Oh,
have
right,
a voice
sorry.
behind the curtain. Thanks, mate. Yeah.
So so you'll start to notice it more out and about. You'll see it on servo signs and another. But anyone's managing their own fleet, they're going to want to do it the most economical way, and be able to use these products. They may be getting them from overseas or wherever. It could be a hassle, but to have them locally available is obviously an advantage to us and to you guys, and to be able to resell in that market. And they're not over the odds in price, and they should be quite accessible for everyone in that arena. you know. Any questions?
So the vehicles have a separate tank?
Yep.
From manufacturer from you? do they?
Absolutely, yeah.
And so they just have the product in the top-up tank?
Yeah.
Now, all this apparatus is for when they don't have a tank, or?
No, it's for when they have a tank, but when they want to add it themselves and service their own vehicles in that type of environment. So if you need to get it out, change it, you know, it's been damaged or whatever, then you're going to use syringes and that, or transfer pumps to decant it from a bigger container into something smaller to then use.
So typically the tank on the vehicle will be a 1 litre tank or a 5 litre tank? Or?
Look, it's, can't remember the ratio, but I think it's like 1 every 10, no, it's probably more than that, maybe even 20 fills of your petrol that you need to re-top up your blue tank.
It's just diesel?
Only diesel, yeah. Diesel only, it's purely an emissions thing, and like I said, it's now legislated and it's coming through as well.
Cars don't have it yet, or?
No, they do. There is passenger vehicles, but that's probably the growing market.
So where would it start? At utes and up, like diesel utes, or?
No, even just like ordinary, you know, normal passenger vehicles. But they would, when you're buying something like that, they need, they go through that process. This is the thing you have to maintain yourself.
Yeah, my wife mustn't have it because no one's ever said
No,
about it.
I mean, it's right next to the tank. Like, you can't miss it.
Oh, okay, so it's in the filler.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's right next to it. You can't miss it. It's got that blue lid, and yeah, that's the way that works. So
Perhaps in modify old vehicles older than 2015 to adapt to that if it's in legislation, like do older trucks?
no, I imagine there's like, you know, it'll be a progressive thing. They're not going to retrofit everyone. People would, you know, that's probably not possible. But as far as, you know, future manufacturing goes, as long as diesel's going to be competitive, then it's going to continue to happen. So, I mean, it's.
I've noticed a couple of service stations have a BP Ultimate diesel. You know, they have a normal diesel thing
Right.
and an ultimate. So would that be already have the additive in it, or?
No, because it gets added on the exhaust front. So after the engine's used the fuel, it's basically mixed to the exhaust to eliminate the pollutants in there. Yeah. So it is quite corrosive as well. So the problem with using a standard funnel off the shelf is it will start to eat away at the plastic in that, and that will then go into the SER converter, which will bugger that up. So you may not physically see it, but at a microscopic level, that would be happening and could have issues down the track. So
Is this a new product, you guys, or?
yeah, relatively new. Yeah, 6 months.
So as far as you guys are concerned, it's just the apparatus.
Just the apparatus,
handling it. You don't do
Absolutely,
or anything like that.
yeah. We're just trying to highlight that this is an area in the market where, you know, we're at the front foot, trying to establish the brand in that area with the transport companies and the guys you deal with. So, you know, hopefully it turns into one of them, I'll just get a Toledo phone because I know it's going to cope. Cool.
Yeah, I feel better.
Know what it's all about.
That's all about.
Yeah, and I know what it's like. I know if you get something, you're not confident with the detail, you may be talking to someone who knows more about it than you do, you go, well, this is a little bit difficult. So having confidence to relay that information always helps in making the sale. And then they get confidence in your confidence. And they go, oh, he knows what he's talking about. Okay, I need a dozen of these or whatever the situation may be. So that's our blue, pretty much, fairly simple. For the guys out and about, I can get further information.
There has been a link posted to the guys with the videos you just played.
Oh,
So
awesome. Cool.
they'll be able to see those.
Just another one. This was released, and this was written with a range of other flies that we produced and the products involved. So there's more copies of these that I can send out for you guys to get some general information, where you can hand them on to your customers, because they're just product information. There's no pricing, there's nothing else in there that's sensitive. So I'll leave these guys for you. And if the other guys out and about want more copies of that, there's heaps available. I want to be able to handle them in. Okay, moving on to just some of the other advertised products. Just the power bar. So just in regards to the transport industry that this range is targeted at. So it's basically an impact driver for removing flywheels, pulleys and that need an extra bit of help. And it can take a fair amount of force to loosen those difficult.
Sorry, they can't see because it's just so glary. Do you actually want to turn that light off again? Rob, thanks, mate. Let's see if it's a bit better now. Hopefully.
Yeah, so basically an elbow action comes with those fittings, the rest of the fittings for that there, 1/2-inch drive. You put a socket on the end of that and then give it a clout, and it transfers that force onto whatever you want to loosen. So it's up to 600 foot-pounds of pressure that you can add to get that whatever you're removing off. There is spares available. So basically, the drive piece is basically a consumable part. So the guys come and say they've snapped that off, and you can see it didn't happen the first go, but it's had a life, and you can get spares for that piece there.
What's that, a 1/2-inch drive on that?
Yep.
And what do you do then? What do you put on that?
So basically, you've got that elbow there.
Yeah.
So it's about getting into difficult positions. So you get that down inside an engine.
So you're trying to get an engine that bolts off the back of the gearbox?
Yeah, or a flywheel
Yeah.
or whatever. So you got a male 1/2-inch drive there. Put the socket on that, get in a position, give it a crack, and it'll break that seal from that joint. So
Okay.
yeah. It's not a brand new idea.
Just like a
Dog
dog
leg
leg.
camera too, like
A dog
dog
leg
to see
spanner.
the glare on that.
So yeah, I mean, similar things have been around, but I thought for this industry, you're talking about heavier fittings, tighter bolts, things like that. You need that extra effort, and 600 foot is a fair whack.
So that's pivots.
Yeah.
Right, that's sort of.
Yeah,
Oh, I see. So you hit it on the end.
you hit it on there.
Right.
So this is to protect your hand.
That's just a protection for your hand, yeah.
Protect your hand, get in a position,
Yeah,
and
the
whack.
ammo. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
I mean, the whole idea, you need to hold it in position. So you use it with one hand to do it. You're not got a sledgehammer with 2 hands and somebody else trying to duck out of the way. So,
Okay.
yeah, so power bar, that's in there at $75 plus. So it's, once again, reasonably priced, handy tool. We sell them all the time, so you can be confident with that as a product as well. And like I said, with the spares, if anything happens, then you can just sell them another one, because it is, it's getting a lot of force. It is considered a consumable part.
No more screen.
No more screen? Gone.
Use the products.
Oh, right. Okay. So they're seeing me now.
Yeah.
Nice. We've got leak down tester, cylinder leak down tester. So this is for petrol engines. So it's probably not well, it's definitely not the diesel character, but as far as an automotive tool that's sought after and again in one of our top sellers in this type of equipment. It's a fairly basic type. It's a sort of an entry level type. They can get much more complex leak down testers as well. So the idea is you want to find out if your cylinder's got issues. So you're connecting this hose to the back end of the gauge, you're connecting your compressed air to this end. You're fitting this into the spark plug.
Okay.
So it'll take 14 and 18 mil sizes into one connector there. There's just an extra extension for the 14s on this one as well. So that's just the extra adapter for that. And it's got a full used guide in there as well. So you guys, the bloke that you're selling this to is generally not a guy who doesn't know anything about it. He'll need to know a bit about engines and what he's doing to be comfortable in using that tool. But that's the workshops that you're visiting. So they know a fair bit about it. So basically, when you add the pressure, making sure you do one cylinder at a time at top dead center. If you can see if there's any leakage, it reflects on the cylinder gauge of how bad it is. So whether it's as you've got there, low, moderate, and high. So if it's leaking down high, above high, then you may not have it at top dead center. It may be escaping some other way. But if that pressure's steady, then it'll be set, in that set area rather than low. Or depends, they'll know what the circumstances are that if it's a bad leak or if it's something minor, whether it's just rings or whether it's something else scoring in the bore or whatever.
If water starts flowing out the radiator, you've got a problem.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're probably already past that point of trying this, but that's how that one works.
If you go through that valve, you can hear it leaking through the valve.
Oh, okay.
You'll actually hear long way it comes through.
Next, we'll just do a quick one on the Nipex precision circling pliers. So it's a little bit difficult for the other guys to see without an image, but this is the standard circular plier that a few of the branches carry on the shelf, which is forged to a forged tip, which is the same material as the rest of the tool. But in precision, a couple of different features. The tip, which goes into a circlip, is a separate piece of spring steel, so it's super hard. It's quite a fair bit shorter, so you're always getting a real positive location in it. And Nipex claim it'll last 10 times longer than their standard circular plier. So their standard is superior to a lot of others. And these are well sought after anyway, but that's the next level.
It's reflected in the price, but the people that, it's like a lot of Nipex, the people that know about it and like it, they just go, it's the value is in the tool. And I'm going to have this, for years and years, and I don't want to be running around with other bits and pieces all the time. So I'll just show you guys the difference between these two in the room here. The other feature is, you'll notice in other internal or external circular pliers, they have a spring under the hinge. Well, this has got a captive spring, so the spring is enclosed inside that, so it's free from popping out, getting lost, and it's much nicer fit. Where'd that test piece go? You still got that? Alright. So just for the benefit of the camera, all the circular pliers have a range, so of circlip. So this A1 series has a 10 to 25 millimeters. So the biggest issue with circular pliers is people using the wrong size for the circlip they're using. They've got one in their hand. They do the smaller circlip, which is within the range, fine.
You come closer to it, that's what they can see on the.
Oh, okay. So this is clearly within that range, so it's easy to use. But then when you get into the next size, you really need to go to the next size circular plier, because you can do it, but you're really starting to put extra stress on them, and that's why there's different sizes. So I mean, in this quality, it's always pretty much going to cope with a bit more, but in general, that's the issue that you come across. Plus, if they've been on there forever and they're slightly seized up, if you get a pin punch and just give them a tap to know that it's actually loose in there or been able to spin, then you apply the tool to get it off. So this kit, advertised as well at 160 or 180 inclusive GST. But they're the main features that are the advantage of this style, and proved to sell quite well. Once again, to the people that understand and know the products. The better you guys can relay that, the better you get reflected in those sales. Next is just quickly on the retaining ring plier. So in a similar style to circlips, you get clips that don't have a hole. So they just called retaining rings. They just got a blunt end. So you need something that has like a flag tip. They call flag tip as well. Pliers, they only come generally in external. So this is just the one standard size. We do have another one that's got a 45 angle tip, which is slightly different.
So this you see on cars nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're all like that.
Yeah. So as a single item, it's a little bit more expensive, but once again, guys are convinced that these are the way to go. And we do have a second tier product in Toledo, but it just, I think this actually outsells it. So even at premium price. So you guys have a look at that as well.
That ring in the tray is well done.
Any question on Nipex pliers in general, I guess?
What sort of warranty do they have on?
Okay, so Nipex don't go in for like terms like lifetime warranty and things like that. They warrant the quality of the material and the workmanship against defect. In regards to time, I mean, the life of the tool is either, if it's been abused and knocked around and you can see it's had a hard life, then it's dead in their eyes. So you need to get another one. And warranty comes up a lot in our market. And Nibex have said to us time and again, those Australians are the hardest on their tools, and we have the per capita the most claims of any country in the world. So yeah, if it fails, if it it's just snapped and it looks like it's been well treated, then that's not going to be a problem. I mean, the only other thing that I would stipulate as far as Nibex is concerned, I mean, we have a license agreement to sell Nibex. Other people are importing Nibex and selling it around. If you haven't sold that tool to that person, don't take it back, because they can be buying it online. They know it's something that you probably can get, so they come and say, "Oh, I want another one," because they can't get warranty from eBay. Yeah. It's just too difficult. So they really need proof of purchase, or you need to be able to verify that they bought it from you. I know that big customers and that you want to keep on side, so there's always opportunity there. But generally, we have to cite the item, make sure we sold it to you, and go from there as far as the process is concerned. The other one on the end of this is the Rennsteig DigiCrimp. So there was a brief that some of these products should be crossing over for aviation. So this is a tool for that industry specifically. So the whole crimping range is quite vast in regards to what's available. Just as an example, as far as Nibex is concerned, they'll do pages and pages of this stuff on all sorts of technical crimping applications from switchboards to aviation to defence, and they all specify some of these tools by part number in contracts and another. So just so you understand, the reason this is Rennsteig and Nipex, so Rennsteig is a sister company of Nipex. They share resources and buying power and steel and one thing to make their tools. Rennsteig actually make all of the crimpers that are in this catalogue anyway, and brand it Nipex for them just because of the reputation of the brand. But we can offer the Rennsteig branded product slightly cheaper just because there's one less step in the chain. And that's why we'll be promoting it under that brand as well. So it is highly technical. If you ever get any sniff of inquiries in regards to this stuff, just let me know, because there's a vast amount of information that we can relay to those users. There's a full crimping and cutting catalogue in the Rennsteig brand that we can offer the end users as well. So it's good money, as you can see, in the price of a tool like that. But these things are accurate to within 10 micron. So, and when planes fall out of the sky, so that's a 4 to 8 indent crimping tool. It's highly specialised, but we thought if end users see that catalogue, they go, "Oh, great! I didn't know they could, get source that type of product." It's a good in for us and you guys as well to get those types of tools through the system. That's about it on that front. Any other questions, guys?
So what do they crimp? Aviation.
They crimp terminals. So
Terminals as in hydraulic or?
no, it's all electrical. Yeah, it's
It's like data cables and shit like that. The ends of those.
yeah, it can be data cable. It can be all sorts of stuff. Just end terminals for the electronics within planes and tanks and all of that stuff as well. So there's any number of ways to print things for the different types of terminals to transfer that information. And that, but it's probably at the top end of the mark is that 4-way. It's like a really elaborate boot lace print, for want of a better term. It's a similar type of thing. But yeah, the accuracy is obviously paramount in regards to that. But like I said, any sort of inquiries on that, I can come out and help talk to that end user and see, what the prospect is there. It's really advertised in there as a lead-in to let your guys know that there's things like that are possible through us. I mean, even with Archerfield around the corner, there'll be guys using stuff there, or they know people that use it, and could lead into anything really, opportunities wise. Okay. Any other questions? Has it been helpful, you guys?
Oh, yeah.
Learned a bit today?
Yeah.
Great.
Is that it?
So that's it for me. We're trying to coordinate a bit more in regards to Trident's concern with the other reps like me in the other areas. So I visit you guys here, Virginia. There's a different rep does Toowoomba, obviously different guys down south, Melbourne as well. So we're trying to coordinate our response to these publications. So they should be walking in there and chatting to the guys on the counters and the likes of yourselves in the other areas as well. So if you need some more of this information for the guys outside of here, just follow up with your local rep from Trident and they'll be able to help you out. So they're aware this is happening today, and they've all seen this obviously, and they're going to help move it forward. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Rob. Good. 10-minute breather and okay. You get some, I'll see what I can.
Yeah, he doesn't.
Give them one. 10 minutes. So you happy after that, mate?
Yeah, good.
I'll leave those extra copies there for whoever wants to send them out.
Progress.
Hey, whatever happened to your show on site at the construction?
Yeah, still.
It's still there, still a possibility.
Just got so much going on.
Yeah.
It's in the end.
So in normal business or things going on or?
Oh, yeah, just new various shows happening and yeah.
When's Park Festival and that stuff?
Oh, going on right now and,
All right. Yeah. Actually, the whole thing is good.
Is Matt over the other side or?
No, he's down in Melbourne for that show.
Oh, he's doing that show.
Yeah.
Did that have a box or?
Got to send an email, saying another 10-minute intermission. How?
Morning, everyone. Those that don't know me, I'm Desmond from Perth. Can you all see me? I hope. Yep. As you all know, we're in the BISMAG magazine that we're running, your new edition, okay, that you guys are running, the transport edition, okay. And there's a couple of things we just want to make you guys aware of, okay. Those that have got a BISMAG magazine, I've got a couple here. If you guys want to pass them out, pass them around. So, I hope everyone can see that. So, we've got the BISMAG magazine with a couple of, items in there, okay? So, we're just going to run through a couple of items. Richard, can the guys hear me when I'm talking? Yep. So, we're going to run through a couple of these items that are in the BISMAG magazine. Has everyone got a BISMAG magazine in the United States or not yet?
Yeah.
So you all got one? Okay, great. Okay, so the first item we're going to look at, guys, if you look at the first one, it says CombiDisc Mini, okay, and just basically it's a miniature flat disc, okay, that's what it is. It looks like a normal flat disc that you've got. I'll bring it up a little closer so you'll see it's flat, and you've got your standard flaps in it. Now, there's two that we do. We do aluminium oxide, okay, which are brown ones, and zirconia, which is the blue ones or the green ones, okay? The great thing about these is these are great to use in hard to reach areas where you can't get in with the normal flat disc, okay? So a lot of guys doing truck bodies, chassis bodies and that sometimes where they want to get into hard to reach areas would come in with the mini polyfans that they use in that. So we've got the mini polyfans, as we call them, or mini flat disc, as some guys would call them, okay? They come in aluminium oxide and zirconia. The brown ones you would normally use on a flat surface. The blue ones or the green ones you'd use on edging. So where you're doing some edge work, okay, is where you would use the green ones.
Why are they different?
The grain, it's different grains that you got. Aluminium oxide is a very rounded grain, okay, great for flat surfaces, breaks up really easy. Zirconia is a very hard and sharp grain, and hence the reason it works really well on sharp edges. So where you've got a sharp edge and you've got to dress that edge, that's where the zirconia one would work better in that instance, okay? So they come in different sizes. That one there I've got is now you'll see there's a male nipple that sits on the top, and that's the standard backing pad, a roll-off backing pad, so it fits on any standard roll-off backing pad, okay? Where you've got a roll-off backing pad, and all that does, that just threads in onto your backing pad, and away you go. So the great thing is you've got the flat disc, okay, which is going to be really good for giving you that life on those products as well. You would often find some guys would use a roll-lock when they would be using something like that, a sanding disc on that. So that's where a lot of you guys would recognize it, is where you're using a sanding disc on a roll-lock. That same flat disc fits on the same backing pad. Can we all see that? I hope. Yeah. Richard, just tell me if it's going, if I'm not doing it, okay? All right, we're all clear with that, guys? So that's the flat disc. They come in various different grades and grits, okay? You've got 60s and 120. So 60 for taking your weld off with the coarser grit, and the 120 is really just for blending in. It's for a fine finish where you start polishing or you want to get a nice fine finish on it. But generally the 60 would be your more common one that you would sell in those, okay?
What would you use that over that? What's the gap?
More life. The flat disc lasts longer than the sanding disc, okay? But the advantage you've got with that, with a roll-up disc, is it's got a bit more flexibility. That won't have the same flexibility, okay? Because it's a little more rigid, okay? But your stock removal will be a lot better as well. Okay? All good? So that's the little mini polyfans, CombiDisc polyfans, guys. The next one we'll move across to is the little cross buffs, which is the Polynox cross buffs. Now, I've brought a couple of samples in here. You'll see, first thing you'll notice, guys, is the color, okay? That one there is your maroon, that one there is your blue. Now, often, a lot of people, when you're talking about Scotch-Brite materials, people will think that when you say brown is coarse, maroon is medium, and blue is fine, okay? This works the other way around, okay? Your maroon is the softer one. It's a lot softer. You can see it's got a lot more give in it. You can see I could squeeze that a lot easier. You see how that's compacted a lot more, whereas the blue is a lot more rigid and coarser. I cannot squeeze it in as easy, okay? They come in various different sizes as well. That's a 25 that I've got there, which is 2 layers, okay? So it's got 2 layers of Scotch-Brite, and then you've got the 38mm, which has got more layers in it. Now, where these are great and where you would use these would normally be in cleaning up thread holes, where you've got threads where you put in studs in, threads where you want to clean it up. That's where that works really well because it doesn't affect the pitch of your thread at all, okay? It gets into the grooves and cleans them up with that. It's got a shaft that goes with it. Okay, you buy the shaft, and if you have a look, there's a Polynox crossbar arbor shaft. That's a 75-inch shaft. There is one we do that's longer than that, but that is the more common one. And all that does is just threads straight onto your shaft, okay? So that would go in your die grinder, okay? That side there fits in your die grinder, and your crossbar threads on the top. So great for getting in corners, sometimes where you want to clean up in corners. Ports, a lot of guys use them in ports as well, for cleaning up ports and stuff like that as well, okay? But really, really good for getting in thread holes and stuff like that where you want to clean that up, okay?
So they got grit in them or something?
Yes, they'll always have a bit of grit in them. All these products have got abrasive grit in them. So that'll be a finer grit. That'll most probably be about 240 grit in it. And that one there would be a coarser grit, which would be about 100 in there, okay? So they've always got a bit of grit. Important thing with these to remember as well, guys, the slower you run them, the better. Because if you run them too fast on a standard die grinder, you'll burn the product because it's a woven material. You can burn material, okay? You want to run them a bit slower. Generally, running them on a drill is pretty straightforward, a lot easier to run it. So the best way to say to guys is if you can run it on a drill, just run it on a drill. It's a lot quicker, guys. Or you're running a lot slower, so you don't have that product burning. Because what happens is it'll work, but you'll find that it'll polish a bit more, but you'll start burning the Scotch-Brite material, and you'll just find it burning into your material as well, and you won't get the life, okay? So running a bit slower does help. Is that okay, Richard? Can the guys all see that?
Yeah.
All right, so we've got those. The next one I want to cover, if you look at the polycap abrasives, and I've brought a couple of samples here. So with the abrasives, you get different shapes, and the advantage that you have with these is that you can see I've got abrasive grain on all sides, so I can use that whole cap on the front, on the sides. I can use it on every section, okay, of the polycap. Really great for getting into small, hard to reach areas. So the reason we've put these products in BISMAG, guys, is just because a lot of areas you're going to, guys are trying to get into hard to reach areas, and that's where these products work really well. Now, the ones I've got here are brown, which is aluminium oxide. If you look in the BISMAG magazine, you can see we've got the grey ones, which are silicon carbide, and the red, which is ceramic, okay? Your aluminium oxide is your general purpose all round. The grey, which is the silicon carbide, okay, is more for your aluminium. So if you're working on aluminium, the ceramic is where you got harder materials. So where it's heat treated or something that's a little tougher to grind, the ceramic would be the better option, the red one, to go with that. Mounting, and I think Luke has sent you all a video that I've just given him. He's emailed you guys through a video which actually shows you mounting the polycaps and that as well. Mounting your polycap is a lot easier when that's on a tool. If you try and do this, if you try and mount this on by hand, holding it in your hand, you can mount it, but taking it off, it's a lot harder. When it's on your tool, it's a lot easier because what you got to do is you actually got to twist it when you're pulling it off, okay? You got to give it a bit of a twist when you're pulling that off. So it's not just pulling it off, you've got to give it a bit of a twist when you pull it off, okay? So I'm not going to push it on too far now, but the polycap pushes right down onto the holder. Now you'll see the holder, if you get asked, the holder's got slots in it, and there's a reason for the slots in the holder. is that when you start running that centrifugal force, what it does is it opens it up and it holds your polycap on the holder for you, so it doesn't come off. Okay, and it helps keep a lot of the heat out. It causes a bit of a cooling effect on it as well, so you don't get too much heat in that. Okay, guys. So each one has got a shape suited for it. Okay. Now you get different shapes. The ones that we just went with are the C shape, which are the rounded shape. That is a very common one. As you can see, I've brought them in just to show you there are other shapes as well. I'll just grab it here. You can see you can see the difference in that and that. If you have a look at that, you can see the one's got a flat top and the one's got a round top. The C shape is the rounded, and that's an A shape. So we do other shapes in that as well. If you've got access to our website, go on there. We do kits as well, which are available. Some people might want to buy a kit, which has got a whole range of different ones in a kit. But what we've done to put in BISMAG is just the more common ones that most people would use. Okay, are we all clear, guys? Any questions? How do we know if the other guys have got questions? Okay, please. No questions. I'm getting worried. It's all good, guys. Okay, so as you can see, different holders for different shapes, guys. So you can't use that rounded one on the flat top one. On the A shape, you've got to use the correct polycap for the right holder. Okay, so you've seen the polycap holder as I explained to you there, and then the last one I want to cover for you guys, just that's in there. As I said, I don't want to get too involved. Is a combi click. Okay, what we've done is to make it easier for you guys is in a kit form. The combi click is basically a sanding disc. Okay, I'm going to show you what it is. So what you've got is in the kit, you'll get 4 or 5 discs. You'll get the backing pad. So there's one for a 4.5 and a 5-inch. So that is the same backing pad that goes on a 4.5-inch or a 5-inch grinder. It's got an M14 thread. Okay, so the thread on there is M14. Okay, the fins on it, what the fins do is that's what's unique. It helps keep the heat out of the discs, and it helps keep the heat off the workpiece as well. So you reduce the heat, okay, on your workpiece. And that gives you more life out of your disc. Now, what you'll notice with the disc, it's got no nut on the front. There's no nut on the front. The nut is sitting on the back. And mounting that on, once that just threads, the backing pad threads onto your grinder, and all that does is lock in onto the backing pad. It's got cams that lock in underneath. There's little cams that lock in underneath, if you can see it there, and it's just a lock-on system and a lock-off system, okay? So it's really straightforward, it's easy to change. So in the kit, what we do is we do a coarse one for grinding, and it's just to give your customer a bit of a taster of what the products are. They normally come 25 in a box, the discs, okay? But in the little startup kit, it's a good startup kit where the guy can get variations of discs. So when I put that one on, you can see that is a 5-inch disc, and if you look at the back, you can see how the edge it's hanging over. So it's great for when doing feathering, okay? You have that edge hanging in. If you want something a little more rigid, okay, so you can see the edge is hanging over there, okay? If you want something that's a little more rigid, you can put a 4.5-inch disc on, and that comes in the kit as well. So if you look at those 2 discs there, you can see that's your 4.5. It's a lot smaller than the one behind it, but it fits on the same backing pad. So if you've got a customer that asks the question, why have you got different sizes? It's so that he can try them out. That's a little more rigid, okay? It fits on the same backing pad, okay? And what happens is you don't have that edge. If you have a look at that, that doesn't have the edge hanging over it, okay? As the other one does. So it's a little more rigid, great for taking off welds. Because you've got that stability and that rigidness, it takes off your welds a lot better. You've got different grits, so you've got a coarse grit, as we call it grinding, you've got some finer grits in that as well, okay? So that's for your 4.5, 5-inch grinders. In there, we've got your starter pack, as we've done, just on the 5-inch that we do there. There is a 4-inch available. We haven't put it in the pack, in the BISMAG, guys, because, of course, space as well to get it in the magazine, but there is a 4-inch available if someone asks. I brought one with, I'll just quickly show you guys. It's not in the magazine, but that's the 4-inch kit, guys. So you can see that's to go on a 4-inch grinder, 100mm grinder, okay? So we do it in a kit form. So if someone asks you, say, yep, we don't have it in here, but we can get you a 4-inch kit with that as well. So that is a ceramic grain. If they ask you as well, they all got ceramic on it. We do them in aluminium oxide. Ceramic grain is a man-made grain. And ceramic grain, the structure of it is like, the best way to explain it is you've got multiple teeth. That's what you've got. You've got a whole lot of teeth, and you've got multiple teeth taking that metal off at the same time. Hence the reason you're removing the metal a lot quicker, and it's generally a lot cooler to grind with as well and take it off. Okay. So as we said, just to make it easier, you can see we do them in a kit form. I brought that with for you guys as well, and I'm happy to give you guys some samples if you wanted to show people. But generally, if you want to get the guy to grind a bit with it, what he's going to notice is you'll see is that the material, maybe the guys remotely won't see this clearly, but it clusters together like fine steel wool, okay? It doesn't cause that much dust, and what happens is it all drops to the floor. So what you have a cluster of steel wool almost pulling together with that on the metal, okay? Because of the grain, it takes off big slithers of it, and it clusters it all together, okay?
That's ceramic.
That's with the ceramic grains, yes. So that's your metal. That's metal that's been ground off. I'll pass it around. You can have a look. If you have a look at it, you'll see it's all clustered together. So with these new products that I'm showing you here, especially the combi clip, we're looking at where we talk about ergonomics, less vibration, less noise, less dust, okay? And we talk about efficiency as well, where we can go in and look at people's electricity and all that, minimizing their electricity costs and that. And that's where a lot of these products do work, in minimizing time. So you're working a lot less, taking off a lot more stock in a shorter period of time. Hence the reason using a lot less electricity, loss wear and tear. It's a grain that's got multiple teeth. The best way to explain is multiple teeth. So you'll get quick stock removal, okay? And a lot of the guys in the truck building industry, especially when they do chassis, a lot of the guys use that. That's what the guys use in the chassis, the grey one, the CC grind, okay? They use those, especially when they're joining chassis or they're extending chassis. That's where they're going with a combi click. And what they like is they've got that flexibility, so you can blend it in and you can run that flat. When you run that flat, you don't have to worry about a nut. So hence the reason you don't get that scalloping or that digging in. You get a good blend in when you blend in your welds in with that. So that's where they work really well.
So that's a ceramic.
That's ceramic. Ceramic, they're all ceramic. The red is ceramic as well. Okay? So we do aluminium oxide, rounded grain, okay? Great for polishing. Gives you a nice finish, doesn't cut in as deep. Zirconia, which we do, is more like a sharp grain, like that, the best way to explain it. And then ceramic is like multiple teeth, just grabbing, multiple teeth.
Well, it has to go on aluminium softer.
Yes, ceramic will go on aluminium, not a problem, because they've got a bit of a coolant built in here as well. That helps keep the heat out.
Does it bog down?
All the braces bog down as you're going on aluminium. When you're running on aluminium, you want to play with your speeds a bit, but most guys don't do that, okay? They should play around with the speed, but the guys don't do that at all. So, and it depends on the aluminium, because you get soft aluminiums and you get aluminiums that have got a high silicon content in them, so it makes them a little harder, which is really good for them to work on as well. So you've got to play around with that sometimes. But the ceramic will work on aluminium. Yep, it will work on it, not a problem. And what helps, the important thing is the backing pad. That is a normal sanding disc, but that is what keeps the heat out. And by keeping the heat out on aluminiums or stainlesses or titaniums or whatever you're working on, that's where that comes in. That makes it a lot easier, okay? Or keeps the heat out and a better life of your discs. Okay? Any questions, guys? There's no questions coming up. Okay, so we're running that, guys, on there. Now, if you look on the opposite page, we've decided to put that in, but you can see where we say third steel locks, okay, on your magazine. Just to make you all aware, these label changes coming. Because in the past, a lot of people have said, with third, how do we know which product is for steel, which product is for stainless? What do we do? So we've made it a lot more simpler. You guys will start seeing this coming through. So you can see, if you look at the picture that's on there, that picture says steel inox, which means you can use it on steel and stainless, okay? If it's just for steel, it's just going to say steel. It won't say anything else. So we're changing the labeling up. You guys will see that gradually coming through. But it's just starting to make people aware of it and say, hey, look, guys, there is a change coming. And that's why we put it there. It's coming, okay?
So that you're saying that does steel and stainless?
Correct, because if you look at that, you see how it says at the bottom there, steel plus inox. So you can use it on steel and stainless.
Okay, let's just look at this. This is inox iron free. There's one on the back.
Yep. That's someone else's. That's someone else.
Yeah, I realise that.
Yep.
But they're two different.
Brands.
So, yeah, but what is this one doing that that one's not? Or that one doing?
Don't know. You got to ask them. Don't ask me. I can tell you what ours does. If you look at that wheel, it says steel and stainless as well.
So one's inox free and one's got inox.
No, that's iron free. So the difference between steel and inox, okay? When you're cutting stainless steel, okay, you don't want to impregnate any impurities into that stainless steel.
Yes.
So when we say iron free, and it says the same on ours, it's iron free. The iron, there's always iron in stainless. Okay, so you want iron free, but the critical ones is your sulfur and your chlorine, which is in your standard wheels. You don't want any sulfur or chlorine because that causes sulfuric acid, okay, or hydrochloric acid, especially in the food grade industries and okay. So in a lot of the truck industries, because that's where this is transport industries, often just having a normal steel wheel is fine, and it's a lot cheaper. It's like when you go and buy your stainless or you buy steel, you pay a lot more for stainless steel than you do for steel, okay? And hence the reason we make a wheel for steel and we make one for stainless, because you can use that on stainless. Now, stainless wheel you can use on steel. You can do that. A lot of guys do that. But they don't want to spend the money sometimes on that, so hence the reason there's a steel wheel as well, where you can just use. We do one for aluminium, for cutting aluminium as well, okay? So it's just that specific. What Ferd's done is we're doing specific products for specific materials or specific groups of materials that you're working with, but there are some that do overlap sometimes as well. Okay? Does that answer your question? No? Yes?
Well, I think so.
Yep. Feel free to ask. So you were asking about inox iron free. All they're saying is it's inox and there's no iron in it, in that wheel.
So it's safe to use
On stainless.
stainless.
That's what they're saying.
Stainless.
Same with our wheels. If it says inox, it says steel and stainless. It's iron free, but as I said, it's sulfur free
So
and
you're saying
chlorine
there's
free.
something in the wheel that will deposit into the stainless?
Correct. If you just take a normal steel cutting wheel and you cut into your stainless, what happens is you've got a protective layer on your stainless, and what happens is it impregnates and it leaves that residue behind it, leaves that material behind it, and that's why you get surface rust. Have you seen stainless sometimes where they get surface rust? Because what the guys have done is they've got an impurity into that stainless, and it's broken that layer. What people forget as well is when you cut in, the spark that's coming out, that's impure, because in stainless there's a lot of steel. Okay, it's the molybdenum and that and your protective layer that's there that's just making it a stainless for you. Okay, so what happens is you've got all that spark coming out that's contaminated. If that spark goes and falls on your stainless, you can get surface rust on it. You can get surface, if you leave it outside, you can get surface rust. Okay, or not even outside.
Is that even with an inox wheel?
Even with an inox wheel, even with an inox wheel, you will find that as well. The spark that's coming out is contaminated. There's contamination in that, yes. Okay.
So we're better off to sell a wheel that will do stainless and steel.
Well,
because it'll
some
do
guys want
anything.
that. Yeah, but what happens if that guy's been on steel? Now that guy's cut on steel,
What's the downside of that?
it's contaminated. That wheel's contaminated. You cannot go back to stainless. You cannot go from steel to stainless. You can only go from stainless to steel.
Yeah.
So you can't go. But some people want that. They just want one wheel. They're happy to live with it. But as I said, if you have that problem with cross-contamination, the best is give a guy a steel wheel if he's on steel, and give the guys only the stainless wheel for stainless. Okay? But you can use a stainless wheel on steel, but you can't go back from steel to stainless, because then you contaminate your stainless steel.
Okay.
Clear?
That makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when we say steel plus inox, we're saying you can use it on steel and stainless. Okay, but if it just says steel, you can't use it on stainless. Okay, if you look at a flat disc, you know, the polyfans, the flat disc, they are steel and stainless. You can use them on both. But just remember, once you've been on steel, you can't go back to stainless. Same with the flat disc. You can't go back. Okay, and we do specific wheels for aluminium as well, where you don't need wax. A lot of guys use wax. We do those as well. Okay, where you don't need wax, so you don't have to clean it out, acetone or anything like that. Yeah. Answer your question? All good. All right. So that covers what's in the magazine, guys. Are we all clear with that? Happy with that? Okay. As I said, if you do get stuck, just ring your local reps. All the reps are fully aware that deal with you guys, are aware what's in the BISMAG magazine. So have a chat with them about it. If you've got a question, or you can ring me if you want to. Okay. Happy to help you guys out. Now, just so you guys are aware as well, is right in the front. Okay.
Competition.
There's a competition in the front. Yep.
These
So-
25 words or less, is this a technical thing, or is it someone trying to be clever or funny?
No, it's just someone trying to be
Just whatever.
technical.
Technical?
Yeah.
You can't mention what Dave Warner would use for grinding, or
You could if you
put
wanted.
it in the onto, or
Sandpaper, put some
Sandpaper,
sandpaper on your
or-
fingers or whatever. I don't know.
what deferred recommend?
Yeah.
What
I would
grade?
say about an 80 grit.
80
would work
grit
fine.
would do the job
It'll
for
scuff
weather.
it. It'll scuff it up a bit quicker. As I said, everyone does it. They all scuff the wall. So.
I was just gonna, as I say, I'm trying to mention the customers. I don't know whether it's gonna be something
Yeah,
super technical or witty.
This will be.
Yeah.
Just something. Just something. So
I
what?
use third products to grind my mother-in-law's car into
That's
1,000 pieces.
That's fine. So what I've done here, guys, is that, and I just want to show you guys. So what's in the kit? So what you're getting in the kit is a whole range of items. So what there's going to be in it, there's some flat discs, the geo disc. Now the geo, that's a cut and grind disc, okay? So you can cut and grind. That's classified as a grinding wheel, but it's only 2.8 or 1.9. You put the 1.9. So it's great for when you're cutting and you want to do that quick lick up or clean up or just clean a bit of spatter. That wheel's fine to use as well. You can use that on stainless or steel. It's an inox wheel, okay? So you've got that. It's got the esky there. You've got a cut brush in it as well. Twist knot cut brush, okay? Little cut brush with it. And then you've got 2 boxes of your 5-inch 1mm cutting wheels with it as well. So it's a fair size. That there would be close to the value of about $500, guys. Okay, and you've got a Milwaukee grinder sitting in there as well that they get with the kit. Okay,
How much are they?
that whole kit there would be close to about $500 value-wise. Okay, so if the customer does ask you, you're looking at it close to about $500 retail on that.
That's the customer's a wordsmith and he wins it.
So all they're going to do is just in 25 words. So that's something worthwhile pushing, saying to the guys, look guys, you know, if you're buying a couple of third products, maybe you can use it. You know, in 25 words, you bought some third product, and because you bought some third product, you can then just in 25 words tell us what you think about the third product. Whether it's the CombiClick saying, oh, the CombiClick tried it and it works well, or, yeah, that's fine. And it's great at grinding your mother-in-law's toenails. I don't know.
Whatever. Yeah, there he is. A good one, eh?
Whatever you want to do. It's up to you, Andrew. Do what you want.
I just didn't know, you know, I like the witty side of things.
Yeah, it's good. Well, maybe tell your customers that. They can use
There might be a
it
few
on
cricket team things coming into it, I'm sure.
Well, that's not a bad idea.
Sure.
It's a lot quicker than putting sandpaper on your hands.
Yeah, if he'd have took a die grinder, or if he'd have took something electric out there, it would have been a lot easier.
Yeah, you can put it on a battery operator.
Battery operator.
You can go from morning tea, and when he goes up from morning tea, just standing, just do a quick scuff up. Yeah, all good. All good. All right, any questions, guys?
Yep, that's good. Well, there it says polycaps.
Yep.
These mantles.
Yep.
The size.
Yep.
So what's it talking about? Laminate?
Okay.
Or is it talking about the two different?
No, the size, okay? So the size, okay. So let's go back to that page with the size. So they come in various sizes. As I said, those come in. I've just put one size to show you guys. So what it is, the size that you've got there, if you look at that on the mandrel, okay, the 16 by 26, the 16 is, can you see that? The diameter, so it's that diameter first,
Okay.
the diameter, okay? And then you've got the next size, which is 26, that is your total length from top to bottom. So if I do that, would that be easier? That's your total length from there to there. So it's always diameter first, and then your depth or your length, okay? So there's two different sizes that we put in there. So then the next one down will be 13 mil, slightly smaller diameter, by 17 mil in length, okay?
So you've got to match that to the what?
You've got to match it up to the correct cap. Yeah.
Okay, what about these up here? You've got a large and a small. What's the go there? How big is it?
You remember, that's what I told you. That's it there. That's a 25, so you can see that 25 mil diameter. That's a 25. I keep putting over. That's a 25 mil diameter. The 38 will be 38 mil diameter, a little bigger. So when you're going into a hole, if a customer's got a 20 mil hole, you're not going to give him a 38.
What's the diameter range, Des? What's the smallest one? What's the largest one?
The smallest is your 25, and the largest is 38. They just come in at 25 and a 38. That's it.
And the second number is what the thickness is, isn't it? 3 mil.
It just tells you the layers. If you look at that, you see that it's got 2 layers, so you can see it's only got 2 layers. The bigger one will have 3 layers.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
It's all there if you know how to read it. Isn't it?
Knowledge is key.
It's all there.
Okay. All good?
Thanks, Des.
Brilliant. Thank you.
No questions? Great.